Good afternoon. This is Veterans Talk. It ain't nothing but a thing, but it's a thing we want you tuned into every Saturday afternoon. I'm Elsa McGee, your host, and we are here doing the same thing we've been doing ever since we started the show. Trying to make sense out of a sensitive situation called the plight of veterans in the United States of America and the United States of America with the plight of veterans. I'm here today with one of my favorite veterans, young man that just he's a veteran, so I'm gonna let Troy talk about himself, because see, me and Troy have been together for a while, and one of the things that I've always said, if we can get veteran benefits, if all the veterans got the benefits that they do coming back into our community, we change the economic landscape of our community. And one of the benefits that we got that we rarely use, the VA even complained about the business benefit, how we don't use the business benefit. And it is time that we see it done. And Troy has did it, really. Troy has started his own business as a disabled veteran. And Troy, thank you, brother, for coming on, man.
Hey, thank you for having me, Rev. It's an honor to be here. I know it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
You've been trying to get me out here for the longest, and I definitely appreciate the opportunity. Us veterans, we are greatly appreciative towards you and all the accomplishments and everything that you're doing around the city of Atlanta for all of the veterans here. I mean, we can't repay you, you know. And for me personally, for you representing me when the time that I needed you, getting to the 70% mark, you were there for me to testify at the VA on my claim. So I owe you tremendously, and I'm sure many other veterans out here do as well, for everything that you're doing.
Well, you know what, Troy, it's being a veteran, I always say this is the most precious sorority I know, and I'm glad to be a part of that. But one of the things that I experienced when I first went in the military, I'm gonna tell the truth. I went in the military looking for benefits. I wasn't all that patriotic. I can't say that was my motive. My motive is I wanted to go into the military so I could get that free education. And my childhood dream was to become an attorney. But went into the military, got traumatized, and didn't understand how to deal with that.
That's
and
right.
Came back, and we had to go a whole lot of different ways, but wind up in a predicament where after being wounded in combat in Vietnam, it took me 16 calendar years to get my benefits. So I was kind of upset once I learned how to do it, and I made this commitment. Every veteran I know that needs some help with benefits, I'm gonna be there, because I still got an attitude about them 16 years.
Right. Well, it actually goes deeper than that, Rev. Just to touch on what you were saying, because I just had this conversation recently with a fellow veteran, just yesterday, matter of fact, and we were talking about how, the past generation of veterans, like my grandfather's era, great uncles, those guys had no clue on filing for claims, but the white people did.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? They were aware. So it's definitely time for the remaining people in your generation, my generation, and behind to take full advantage of what's due to us.
What's due.
That's
because
it.
see, I look at it like this. We come out of our families, and you think about this, Troy. When you got ready to go in the military, your whole family threw you a party. They kind of lifted you up, and
right.
That's a pride.
It was celebrated.
Celebrated.
Yeah, it was celebrated.
When we come back into the family. They give us a party again. But then some of us have changed so much because of that military experience. I have incurred some things, like some of the brothers that were serving at Camp Lejeune and didn't even know that they was contaminated.
Right, the water.
The water.
Yeah.
So it behooves us, when we are veterans, to share our experiences with each other. That way, it will help us navigate this humongous system that was supposed to be designed to help to deliver the benefits that we earn, the VA.
That's correct.
But it's so frustrating to a lot of veterans they give it up. We've talked about your 70%, but see what you went on to the 100% level.
I did.
You know, because you learned the system.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
you was a student of the system. You saw what we was doing and you understood it, so you was able to go on. And now you are helping veterans because you send me information, and that's the way this thing is supposed to work.
Right.
Because our community is suffering from the lack of these benefits. Now, just imagine, I'm a native of Atlanta, but when I grew up in my community, unfortunately, it was segregated. But all the stores in my community at that time was owned by people in the community.
Right.
You know, now we are economically occupied by people that's coming in the community, getting those economics out of our community, and then they going somewhere else.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
it's, to me, it's incumbent upon us as veterans to get our benefits and bring them back to the community that we live in, to make sure that we can improve the quality of life for our families and for our friends and our community. So talk about your business though, Troy. That's what excited me, because you're in a business that every veteran can
I'm
benefit.
repping my shirt right here, as you guys can see out there, TB1 Auto Brokers. I retired from MARTA 23 years back in November, and you know, I was kind of frustrated with that. You know, MARTA helped me take care of my family, which was good, so I can't knock them for that. But it was time for me to move on. And, you know, I decided to drive the school bus for a while, which I actually loved, you know, working with the kids. And I'm planning on probably going back now that I have my business set up. But I decided to get my dealer's license, buy a few cars because I like cars, and I realized that anytime you want to do something in business, you must like what you're doing in order to be successful in doing that. So that's what I did, and I've been in business now about 6 months. I'm selling wholesale, I'm selling retail. And I will give veterans discounts. You tell them that you saw me on the show on Veterans Talk, and I will give you vets out there a discount. We offer financing, gap insurance, warranties, and I provide quality cars. I don't sell junk. That's clean title vehicles as well. So I really like what I'm doing. It's a lot of work being a one-man show, and I'm actually trying to take my business to the next level. I actually reached out to SCORE yesterday. And I have a meeting with them so that they can kind of line me up and put me in alignment on what I have to do to finish getting set up as a veteran-owned business. So that's where I'm heading at with the business at this current point.
And you know, I'm glad you mentioned that, Troy, because see, what we have to learn about these veterans, especially the veteran disabled veteran business,
Right.
On every level of government, every level, city, county, state, and federal level.
Take advantage.
If they are doing business with what you're doing business with, they got to give you some business.
That's right.
And you know, I was excited when I first saw you know, you coming up with the auto broker, because we know that all these governments buy cars.
Right.
You know,
That's
all
right.
these governments buy cars, and we got to get that found thing so you can start getting into that fleet sale.
Right,
That
right.
these citizens, these kindness, and all these folks
That's the ultimate goal.
that's doing. Because see, one of the things I want to you know, kind of slide to the side for a minute. But what we've been doing, and Vietnam Veterans of America is actually going out now, trying to pull VSOs together. And today I was with Leonard Morgan, them out and with Vets Fest out in Forest Park, Georgia, and Star Park, and they're still out there, and they got a lot of things going on. They you know, a lot of entertainment, a lot of information, a lot of vendors that you can go out there. And most of them are veterans, so go out there in the park, get some free food, you know, listen to some music, and enjoy what they're talking about. Because one of the things that we got to keep in mind, we're in political season. This is political season in our country. And we got politics that has become so toxic, they ain't doing nothing for the people. And I'm saying either party, they're not enforcing the democracy that we pledge allegiance to. And it troubles me, because the malfunctioning of our governments is the reason that we're having all these social issues in our community. You know, we got a government that won't institute reasonable gun laws.
Right.
You know, I was combat infantry when in the military. I don't want no AK-47 in my community. But we got politicians that have allowed that
to happen.
You know, to allow that to happen. So it's important that we elect people that's going to keep the Constitution the way it is and keep our democracy growing. See, when I went into the military, Troy, I had never stayed in a place with anybody other than black people.
Right.
But the minute I got to Fort Benning, Georgia, that first day, I was in an integrated setting. But I learned to get along.
Right.
We learned to respect each other. And we learned that we can do a lot together.
Right.
And that's what this democracy is all about. And we have grown it to the point that we got people in government that bothers me. I was fighting in Vietnam, Russia influences. Right now, we be dealing with the same Russia influences, and we're about to commit troops to fight in that war, whether we want to look at it or not.
It sounds like it's coming. Yeah.
It is time that we get politicians that stop selling out the business that's causing all of the wars that we fight.
That's right.
You know, we got to get local people understanding this. This is how a society works when you got free enterprise. Free enterprise gives us all the opportunity to make money. But what has happened in our free enterprise system, it has been fixed by money where you do 2%ers. 2% of the population got 90% of the wealth.
Right.
And they don't want to give the lower people an opportunity to do nothing. They made it hard for independent business people, for small businesses. And that's why we got to take back our government. We got to vote. We got to make sure that we are voting for people that's going to embrace the democracy the way it is now to keep it growing. To me, it seems like they want to take it back to when it was a minority-controlled government. You know, it wasn't less than 100 years ago. White women and people of color couldn't even vote in this country.
That's right. That's facts.
Everything was decided by white men.
Right.
And that's why it's messed up today. You know, that's what they want to go back to.
Right.
But they got to realize that ain't happening.
Right.
You know, I mean, we have made too great a sacrifice. We have given up too much of our people. Like, we're just getting the memorial approved for Piedmont Park. 240 young men from my hometown was killed in Vietnam for this democracy. And I think I was personally wounded. I think that's too much of a sacrifice for us to turn around and go back to a government controlled by a few, rather than by the vote. You know, this is why we got all these election denials and people saying that Biden is not the legitimate president. Oh, that's garbage. You know, and we know it's garbage, so we know what the aim is, and they just need to go somewhere. My mom used to tell me, "Let's go somewhere and sit down." When I wasn't acting right, they need to go somewhere and sit down and let us continue to grow this democracy the way it's growing, and let opportunities prevail for everybody.
That's right.
You know, we got to understand. You know, you should be able to sell cars to the government the way these
large dealers
do.
That's right.
You know, but they'll block you with every step of the way if they can, because that's the control of our government.
Yeah.
They bought them.
Greed.
We have to stand up as veterans and say, go somewhere and sit down, man. You know, you can't do that. We got too much space. And I want to shout out also to veterans, and I want you to know that this expansion of benefits is real at VA. The PAC Act did a lot. Now, it didn't do everything it was supposed to do, but it did a lot. A lot to the point that African American veterans that was exposed to toxic Agent Orange radiation can get hypertension now.
Wow.
That's never been done before. So I need you to go. I need you to understand this. if you need some help with your claims, all you got to do is call us at Vietnam Veterans of America. We're gonna get you some help to make sure that if you got a hypertension and you've been exposed to Agent Orange or the contaminated water or radiation, then we're gonna get your benefits. See, and then there are some other expansions of benefits. The caretakers program has been expanded now to over 40,000 other any veteran. 70% or more, Troy, can actually get his wife paid for doing what they do anyway.
Wow, that's great.
So tell your wife. So we got to make sure that not only we know about these benefits, because we talked about the historical not knowing.
Right, facts.
That not only they didn't tell, we didn't know, and they wouldn't tell us.
Right.
I've heard veterans say that when during the segregated era, when they got out, that they was told if you didn't come out the military, boy, with a disability, you ain't got now. So we got to get past that, because you can file for a disability as long as you live. And but Troy, I want you to talk about some other stuff too, man.
Sure.
You do community stuff too, man, and you refer other veterans to me to get information. So talk about some of that stuff and some of the, especially the young generation, these young brothers fighting for their cause.
One of the programs that was able to, doctors that was able to help me, one of my good friends, I got to give him a plug, Andre Baldwin, if you're out there. I tried to call you earlier, but he referred me to a doctor whom I introduced you to in Ackworth, Dr. Kyle Mitchell. He's a retired naval officer. He has a very solid program, medical program. Now it's the intake portion is called K&D Veterans, and I can provide the information. I think you had the information. If not, we'll make sure anybody gets it that wants it. And when I tell you he has the most solid documentation that the VA is almost impossible for them to deny when they get that claim in front of them. And during the time that when I got to the 100%, I mean, he listed my stuff out in the DBQ form, which I've told now they've since changed from a DBQ. That's what a friend of mine told me recently. But he laid everything out. I mean, he connected all of the dots medically. And that's the thing that takes you to the higher percentage when dealing with the VA as far as getting awarded. Your medicals must be on point. That's first and foremost. You have to have proper documentation from A to Z with a VA, because a lot of the people, the raters that read our claims, they're not doctors. They're regular people like you and I are, so they don't have a medical background, and you have to simplify that claim as simple as possible for them to be able to understand it.
And probably you pointed something critical that people got to know. If you don't have medicals, if your medicals is not up to par, you're going to be low rated or denied.
That's right. That's right.
When I say low rated, that means they're not going to give you the rating that you deserve.
Exactly.
So, but the DBQs are still a part of VA's rating system, but they also have a nexus letter.
Well, one of the things that I was informed about recently, we could probably piggyback off of that after I get more information, but I heard now, as far as Dr. Mitchell and his crew, what they're doing now, they're going back to other veterans who possibly may have the same claim that you had, and if that veteran won, they can go back and use that as a referral. That case study, they use that case study in your claim, which is great. You understand what I'm saying? Because that takes a lot of that hard work. That takes a lot of that denial out. How can you deny me if you gave it to this person?
Yeah, and what you're pointing out is one of the things that I always was saying about overhauling VA. They don't have a rule of evidence at the benefits level. Right. So they can dance all over the place. Exactly. You need to lock them in. So, and another thing that I'm glad you were talking about it, because a lot of times if you ain't got your medicals lined up right,
you get nothing.
You get nothing, because they'll look at you. They'll look at your age, right? Look at your appearance and say, "Well, you all right."
Right.
Right. That's what they was doing to me for 16 years.
Right, because we didn't know. We didn't know any better.
We didn't know any better. Once you get an understanding of that claim process and give them what they need to have, the way they need to have it, you're locked in. Because now let me say something that Troy pointed out that he piggyback on. You can have a VA doctor. You can have a VA doctor that low rates you. and you go to an outside doctor that gives you the right rating that you do, there is something called the benefit of the doubt doctrine. In other words, and a lot of veterans don't know this, if those two doctors have the same credentialing, same similar credentialing, they have to give you the benefit of the doubt. In other words, there's a conflict in medical opinion.
Right.
The veterans get the benefit of the doubt.
That's awesome. And I'm sure a lot of people don't know that.
They have to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
So that's why I always, when I tell guys, I say, okay, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
We go get you an outside medical opinion.
Exactly. And I recommend that anyway. I mean, a lot of people, the veterans I talk to, and I'm sure a lot of people can't afford outside doctors, and I get and I understand that. But if you can, by all means, get you an outside doctor and not a VA doctor. That's just my personal preference and recommendation, based off of what I went through.
Yeah.
And it works because, you got to look at it. The VA is not going to want to help you beat them.
Well, see, the thing is, VA doctors are not oriented to help you get a claim through.
Exactly.
They'll tell you, well, we're just here to treat your condition, not to help you with your claim. And a lot of them, that's the way they write their medicals. They don't do their medicals in any way that's going to help you get your increase.
It's very minimal.
If anything, you'll get a proposed reduction letter from them. And a lot of people,
that's guaranteed.
and they don't, and people don't know what that proposed reduction letter comes from.
Right.
It comes from them looking at your medical records and not seeing where you have been seeing a doctor and complaining about your condition.
Well, I tell you, piggybacking off Dr. Mitchell again, I just referred, matter of fact, like 3 months ago, I have a cousin, he's like 93, and he had been fighting forever trying to get his claim passed. And he was able to finally get to 100% recently through Dr. Mitchell. So these guys are on point. K&D, I mean, hands down, they're one of the best out there.
Yeah.
And one of the other things too, for veterans out there that are listening, the first thing that you should do is obtain your medical records. And it's very simple. Go to vetrex.org, vetrex.org, order your medical records. And that's your starting point. That's your foundation. So without that, you can't really go anywhere without that.
Yeah, and one of the biggest mistakes a lot of guys do, they allow people to file a claim when they don't have a diagnosis for the condition.
That's right.
You don't have the diagnosis, you don't have a claim. That's something that we have to make people understand. You talk about medicals. Those medicals are essential to you getting your claim even considered. Because if you don't get a diagnosis in there, they just start right there.
That's right. You have to build. You have to build your case.
Yeah.
So you have to have all your medical documents following you from every step of the way, from A to Z. If you're going for hearing, you must make your appointments on time. Go to your doctors. Make sure you get all your documentation. Build your case before you file your claim. That's my recommendation. I'm sure you would agree on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because see, I tell people, and then the next step that you do after you get your medical records, make sure you got your military records as well. Yeah. Because see, if you're gonna be service connected, there has to be a nexus between your condition and what happened to you in service.
That's right.
And a lot of time with doctors like you're talking about, they connected with that DBQs or with that nexus letters. Yes. So that's why it's so critical that you get a doctor that's gonna do that, because VA doctors not gonna do it.
Yes, and I give you an example for myself. I had a back injury, and when Dr. Mitchell sent me through all these extensive tests, it was issues that I had for myself that I didn't even know existed. And that's because he was able to connect, like radiculopathy. You understand what I'm saying? I never knew what that was, never heard of it, until he said, you have nerve damage. You had a back injury. 9 times out of 10, when we send you for this exam, and they did, sent me for the, they plug the things up all over you, and came back, I had nerve damage in my legs and my arms, all secondary to the back issue. So that's why it's important to have a good doctor who knows, you understand, what to look for. Because I never would have went secondary on radiculopathy.
Okay, now tell them what secondary means. So a lot of guys don't understand that
terminology. Gotcha. Secondary is, let's say I have a claim, I'm putting in a claim for my back. A good doctor is able to tie other medical issues related to the initial medical issue, and that's called a secondary claim. And that's why it's very important to get a good doctor to evaluate you and send you for the necessary testing to establish that. And that's what my doctor was able to do. He said, okay, you have a back injury, but most people that have back injuries is documented, you're going to have nerve damage throughout your body. And he was right.
And what when he said talking secondary to a already service-connected condition.
That's correct.
And a lot of guys come out of the military with back injuries, but they never get those secondary disabilities, which keep their ratings low.
Because they don't know.
Keep their ratings low.
They don't know.
So it's critical that we understand that these things that has to be developed. I always say, I'm not going to file a claim for you till we develop your claim.
That's right.
We're going to develop. We're going to put all them pieces together. So when VA get it, they're locked into their own regs.
That's right.
That you if you know what you're doing when you file your claim, 9 out of 10 times you're gonna win your claim.
Right.
If you get the right medicals, you're gonna win the rating that you.
It's gonna be higher.
Yeah. You need to get the rating. So listen, folks. I'm gonna tell you, you can always call in and join the conversation at 470-251-4343. You can call in, join the conversation, and you can talk with Troy about the cars too. Now all of us know we buy cars. We buy cars, and when we doing business with ourselves, that makes more sense to me than anything I know. If we got veterans that's in business, doing business in the community, and you buying a car, you need to talk with Troy. I'm just saying that straight up because that's the way veterans need to roll. I can remember I was in the 173rd, dog, at the herd. We had this motto: one for all and all for one.
Right.
And we got that's the way we got in trouble too.
Yeah.
We go downtown. One get in a fight.
Everybody fighting. It's a game.
That's right. We got to get this together in our community because we got some issues in the community that we don't want and need. We got a Supreme Court. We're not just a Supreme Court. We got some judges on every level of the court system now that has views that some people are above the law and some people are below the law. If we look at a crime as a violation of the law by either commission when you go out and commit the crime or by omission when you are in a predicament where you're supposed to enforce the law and you don't. And if you look at what causes crime, lack. They have created a lack environment in our community.
Facts.
Where we gonna survive.
Lack of resources, lack of everything.
Lack of everything. If we get rid of that lack in our community, and the word I follow is that we should care one for another. If we start doing that, you're going to see the crime go down. Putting people in jail is not going to solve the crime problem. Eliminating lack in our community and dealing with the mental health issues.
Can I touch on that for a minute?
Yes.
Mental health is very, very, very important. I myself was a victim of alcoholism, drug use, and by the grace of God, I was able to come through all of that. And I must say, I give shouts out to my people at Fort Mac because I enrolled in a program 4.5 years ago, and that program had turned my life around by seeking the help that I needed to get to overcome those obstacles. And it's a blessing. I never thought that I would be free of that from the amount of time that I was under that. So, take advantage of what's out there, vets, that the VA is offering of you, because it's a lot of us that's into that. That has been going through alcoholism, drug use, and the whole nine, and we're afraid to go out and reach for help. Don't be afraid. Make that phone call, go to Fort Mac, go to the VA, the nearest VA, and ask for help. It's out there.
And I'm glad you raised that issue, Troy, because one of the issues that we're dealing with, wrestling with in our community now that's not talked about enough is suicides.
That's right.
And that suicide stems from the very stuff that you're talking about.
It's facts.
Us not having knowing that the resources are available to us to help. And one of the things that we're pushing for right now is that the VA and DOD empower the families of these guys that's coming back out of the military. So when they start seeing these mental issues in their loved ones, they got the resources and the knowledge to get them some help right then, so that we can undermine these suicides.
Exactly.
Because they are a product of mental illness.
Yeah.
When you get and listen, I have being a preacher, I have been in the predicament of counseling with somebody that committed suicide, and it is an emotional journey that don't happen overnight.
Nah.
Your loved ones are faced with seeing that stuff in your household, and it involves drug addiction, alcoholism, and family. We need to be more careful about what we do when we vote, so that we can connect all of these issues to the people that we're putting in office, to make sure that VA is right now spending millions of dollars just talking about suicides and having studies done on suicide, but they're not equipping the families.
Right. And it's a lot. I mean, even drug and alcohol use is weighs on your family. God knows I put my family through a lot. You know what I mean? And it's horrible that the families have to deal with it
without any help.
Without any help because everybody needs counseling at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It affects everybody in your family. So
and when we don't talk about these things, and it's not something that a lot of veterans don't talk about with their family because they're ashamed of it.
That's right.
They're some of them are just broken heart because they done fell into this mental illness that they are dealing with every day. And that we got people out there now and organizations that are reaching out to people that got problems. We're going to be doing a host of town hall meetings and community rallies in Fulton County to make sure that our families know that they got help, that there's some resources out in the community that's there for them and their loved ones when they're going through crisis. And the crisis starts when you see that those behaviors in your loved ones and at home. You know that when your loved one is drunk or high all the time, that's not normal. You got to engage them. Because they're trying to self-medicate, and we don't need self-medication as a way of dealing with the mental health problems in the community. Now, I just want to say this today too. We starting our Get It Done fundraising campaign for the Sons of Atlanta Vietnam War Memorial. We've got the land in Piedmont Park between 12th and 14th Street on the front lawn. We're going to be doing groundbreaking sometime next month around Veterans Day. The goal is to complete the project for Memorial Day 2023. Now, we got some amazing things going on with this project. You can go to sonsofatlanta.org and you can look at what we're doing. And you can also support the project by buying a brick. Buy a brick and your name will be engraved in Piedmont Park forever. You'll be a part of this history, a part of this movement to make local the national sacrifices that we made, because we come out of communities locally. We just happen to serve in the U.S. military. But we need to make sure that the local community is embraced for the losses for the sacrifices that they've made. That's what we're doing with the Sons of Atlanta Vietnam War Memorial. And you can go to sonsofatlanta.org today, look at the pictures, over 240 from Fulton County. Matter of fact, one of the young men that we're memorializing in Piedmont Park will be has already been memorialized, and his memorial was displaced. And Tuesday, the 25th of October, at 11 o'clock, College Park City government will be rededicating his memorial on their grounds, because he's from College Park. But there were 17 young men from College Park, 190 from Atlanta, 6 from Hapesville, I think 14 from East Point, 2 from Union City, 1 from Dunwoody. So go to the website. We're pulling together 9 different cities in Fulton County that was in existence during the Vietnam War that have never did anything together. It's time for us to draw unity in our country, and we think by honoring our national heroes in their hometowns, we'll be able to unify communities around what sacrifices they have already, what the price they've already paid for the freedoms that we have in this country. So go to sonsofAtlanta.org today. Now, again, we want to get back to this issue about benefits. If you got the questions about benefits, if you forget about Vietnam Veterans of America, you don't forget about Georgia Department of Veteran Services. That is the state entity. It's these people are paid by taxpayers' dollars to help veterans get their benefits. So you can, and they got offices all over the state of Georgia. So you can always call Georgia Department of Veteran Services and get benefits. These are the people that are responsible for all of the graveyards, and we're gonna be talking about your final rights, because there's a lot of confusion about final rights for veterans. On our website, you got on our website you can go to VBA chapter 1118.com, and there's a paper safe on the website that will help your loved ones to understand your final rights and how and what it would cost to bury you. It's just something that you need to do for your family. Don't leave them in confusion while they're grieving your loss. So it's something that we have to think about. We have to think about the benefits that we got. I have gotten too many calls from funeral homes where families didn't even have a clue as to what their loved ones had in terms of, well, most of them didn't have visible insurance, but they knew that they was a veteran and they didn't understand or didn't have any knowledge about what the VA would help them do. So go to our website. This information is critical for you to have in your household. So please don't let your family be in confusion and in grief when they lose you. Veterans Talk, it ain't nothing but a thing. Now again, we want to talk about claims, because Captain Singletary just came in the studio. We gonna be doing some stuff, and I wish he had got here a little bit earlier, because Troy was talking about medicals, talking about how critical medicals are for getting their claims through. We are working on Captain Cemetery, Tracy. I'm gonna just say Tracy. I'm gonna stick with that. But I'm so proud of this brother military record. I get the chance to read a lot of military records, man, and I think that's an advantage. So I get a chance to see y'all in ways that other people might not be looking at you. And I'm seeing this outstanding military service you guys be done provided to our country, man. So yeah, I'm proud of you, and I want to make sure you get your benefits, because I know what I did, and I know how long it took me to get my benefits. Yeah. So I'm mad with them. Yeah. I'm still mad with them. But medicals, again, I want to go back to medicals, because that's one of the things we're dealing with Tracy stuff. There is a resistance at VA when you tell them you don't want the medication that they give you for mental health.
Right.
But tardive dyskinesia ain't no joke.
It is. They try to shove it down your throat.
They try to shove it down your throat. And they know that certain medication, especially mental health medication, called another disability.
Yeah, I stopped taking it personally. Matter of fact, I just got a call a couple of weeks ago on my last appointment, and I told the doctor, she was like, "Are you taking your medication?" And I straight out told her, "I'm not taking that anymore." Yeah, so, and we have to be able to do that without having them write up stuff in your record where the veteran is not medically compliant, and like that is the cure all to a condition that medicine don't cure. Yeah. Well, what I told her, my reasoning for was the fact that, my history of alcoholism and drug use, and I said, now I'm living in my right mind, so I don't need anything else now. You know what I mean? I'm good. I don't need anything else. I'm good.
And that's the truth.
Yeah, that's my truth. I can't speak for anybody else, but that's my truth.
Yeah, listen. Yeah. I don't take it. And I fight with my therapist too. Because when I told them I couldn't do groups,
right.
One don't fit all.
Right. Exactly.
And we have to be able to communicate that to the VA without where they penalize you by your notes.
Mm-hmm.
Those medical notes is what causes us not to get the ratings that we deserve, right? Because they're looking at your behavior as a resistance of them.
Mm-hmm. You're being defiant.
And the VA is not supposed to be your adversary.
Right.
It is not supposed to be adversary. We talked about the benefit of the doctrine. They also have a duty to assist and to notify that they don't do with us. When you file a claim, the VA's first letter is supposed to tell you this is what you need to do to file and win the claim that you just filed. And they are really not supposed to deny that claim until they have had that communication with you.
Correct.
But it's not coming clear when they send you, we're working on your claim letter. It's a bunch of rules and stuff that most of us ain't gonna read, because it's just rules. We need to have clarity and understanding that, just put it simple, and you did it brilliantly earlier, your medicals is everything.
Yeah. That's
now, and just because the VA doctor don't want to do the medicals right, we got doctors that will. What we got to do, and we're working on that with the Fulton County Veterans Service Program. We did it this year. Hopefully, the next year we can get it in a way where the old crew won't still get the money. Yeah. And we can get the money to veteran service organizations so that they can get medicals for veterans outside of the VA. See, you pointed out a lot of veterans are not able to pay for those medicals.
That's right.
So we had to come up with ways to do it ourselves, for ourselves. And the way to do that is help Troy sell some cars. Buy cars from Troy. That's gonna help us. That's gonna help our community. You're gonna buy a car. I can't think about it. I bet you right now you got a bunch of us on car lots. Trying to figure out a way to buy a car. Try to tell them how they can get in touch with you with a car, man.
They can reach me on my business line, which is 470-833-1484. You can also go to my website, which is TB1 Auto Brokers, www.tb1autobrokers.com. And you can see the inventory. You click on the link. My website shows the cars that I currently have online. I also do personal buys. If I have something that you may want that's not on a lot, I'll find it and take all of the headache out from you going out shopping, wasting your time if you got to go to work or anything else. So looking forward to hearing from you guys. And like I said, for all our vets that's listening, I will give you guys a discount military rate as well.
Now, you can't beat that. You're not going to walk on no car lot and get that. They do it. But I used to be a car salesman too, Troy.
I didn't know that.
I'm going to tell you what. I used to work for Greg Barranco.
Okay.
Greg was selling Pontiacs on Covington Highway. And then I left there and started the first Tote the Note on County Road. And we do it in 82.
Wow.
But I realized then that everybody that I know had a car, want a car.
Right.
And a lot of people couldn't afford cars, so I came up with a way that they make cars affordable to them, even though I had a repo man, too. But that's the business. We have to understand that economically, we talked about that. Economically, we need some politicians in the state of Georgia that are going to increase the minimum wage. We need politicians and the state under the state zone that's going to take these automatic weapons out of the community. We need a change in government officials throughout this country, because right now it scares me to have my great grandbabies tell me they scared to go to school.
Yeah,
it scares me.
It's rough.
It upsets me because they done seen kids get killed at school. Because somebody with a mental problem got a automatic weapon. I tell people I don't need no gun, Because if I got a gun, I get triggered. I'm gonna do something I ain't got no business doing. So I don't need no gun. But you ain't got most mental patients gonna say that.
Right. You're right.
You know. So we need to veterans need to come together, make sure that we all understand that this democracy is what got us where we are at today. If we didn't have this democracy where we were voting, we wouldn't have the kind of stuff that we got. You know, businesses would have taken it all, and we would still have most of our population in our community working for 40 hours a week and not making livable wages. The rent's gone up. You know, people are raising the rent on buildings they've been owning for 20 and 30 years. But because they got the statistics and they got control of the government, they raise the rent.
Yeah.
It don't make no sense to raise rent. Then they're going to talk about the government, the president got to control inflation. Businesses got to control inflation.
That's right.
You know, they're the ones that selling products and services.
Gasoline, food, gas, clothing.
Yeah,
all the necessities that we deal with. You know, is the profit margin is ridiculous.
It's crazy. When you look at what we've been going through with the pandemic, and you look at the major corporations, they made millions.
Yeah, they still are.
They made millions. Why we was struggling.
Facts.
You know, why I went to the VA one day, Troy, and they had, I guess a CWT. The guy in front of me, we had on a mask, he said, the guy told him, tried to get an extra mask. And this CWT told him, you already got one, you ain't gonna get it. I said, man, this man old enough to be your dad or granddaddy. You talking to him about a mask the government giving away. Right. See, we got too many people in the wrong place in our government. That's the biggest problem. At Atlanta VA, you got people out there that don't know how to deal with patients when they come to the VA hospital. Because at my clinic, Fort McPherson, they beat you up right there. Yeah.
There's no sensitivity training. They need sensitivity training. That's just bottom line.
And we got to be the ones that talk about that. Nobody else is going to talk about it because most people think, man, their veterans got it good. Right. You know, they feel like veterans got it good. Because VA got this propaganda machine where it makes it seem like veterans got it good. Right. But when you show up and figure out, I got 3 veterans homeless right now. When they've been at the Fort McPherson homeless program trying to get help. They ain't got none yet. Wow. You know, so
they wouldn't let them in.
No, they didn't let them in. See, so we got issues. Yeah. And then we got people that the mayor of Atlanta say he got $25 million for the homeless program. The population down up under the bridge not that far from City Hall.
It's right down the street. Yeah, right down the street.
We got to get politicians in office that's gonna do our government right. Yeah. What we got in office is a what I call overseers. You know, they're overseeing the plantation. You know, the same way they had plantation, this economy is shaped pretty much the same way. You got the 2%ers and the wannabes. Yeah. You know, all them overseers. You know, they're overseeing the rest of us. We have got to come together as veterans. And I was saying that today with the American Legion, who said, okay, the AMVEC chapter who's saying, okay, you know, we got to come together in our community. We're supposed to be representing the same demographics. If we all come together and they see us together and we start voting together,
become strong.
That's kind of strong. We got to get away from being Democrats or Republicans. Mm-hmm. You know, we got to be veteran oriented now. Because what we went in the military for, what I looked at the military records and I see people that kept their oath. You know, you did your service. You know, you got up every morning, you did exactly what you had committed yourself to do. Right. Why we can't have folks in our government that do the same thing? We get in there, do Republicans or Democrats. I don't want to hear all that. No. What party you is when you on the job in the government? Do your job.
Accountability.
If you're not gonna do your job, don't take the job. Don't do the job. Don't come to the job. I used to tell my clerks at VA, when my patients get here, if you show them an attitude that I don't want to see, I'm gonna put you on sick leave. You can go home. Because, you come to work to serve patients. These are veterans. They wouldn't be out here if they had some medical needs. Why are you gonna make it hard by not doing your job?
Exactly.
Do what you're getting paid to do. We need that in all levels of government, because I'm looking at some levels of government in our communities. They ain't functioning for the people.
Right.
They're not doing what the people need them to do. So what we got to do is keep doing what we're doing today, is keep talking about it, keep pushing it, keep making sure people understand there's some options. And the options we hope that you got today is that you can get 100% and look as good as Troy. See,
Thank you, Rob.
See, one of the things, they want you to be a lot of veterans think you got to go in there faking.
Right.
You got to go in there with the law.
That's right. That's right.
Do the law and tell them they want the respect that you gave when you were serving in the military. See, I looked at these biases when they want you to look like you're unkept, man. You don't do that out of the community.
Right, unshaven, smelling, and the whole nine. I've heard people's veterans say that. Like, I got to go in funky when I go in there. And,
why should
you don't have to do all
yourself to do that?
That's right. That's right.
And if you do it, they gonna give it to you nowhere. They ain't showing up because they got you playing with
That's
them.
right.
They got you playing their game. Yeah. They need to follow the law, do what their mission is, and when we find out that they can't do it, we need to have it legislated again.
Right.
See, we got some sorry legislators. They don't listen to us. They listen to the people that's paying them, and all the people that paying them trying to keep the costs down for our care. For our care. 1%, less than 1% of the population in this country ever served in the military. So why they can't take care of the 1%? We take care of all of them.
Right.
You got these young folks out there now, right now, all over the world, serving in the U.S. military. Faithfully serving, doing their job every day. You got some races in the military still. You're gonna have that. But the vast majority of the young people in the military done got way past that mess. So they looking at all this toxic politics, and some of them might not even want to vote no more.
Yeah.
It's a turnoff. So us old vets like me, I gotta call it out. I gotta make sure that y'all don't think that I was undetermined when I was on my watch. When I'm on my watch, I'm gonna do due diligence because I'm a soldier. I served in the U.S. military with all of my heart, with all of my being. Like every other veteran that got a good discharge. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got no honorable discharge.
Facts.
So I want to thank you, Troy, for coming, being with us today, man. And you got to come back.
Oh, I will. Thank you for having me.
And one thing we want to see is the car business up. And we're going to do it two ways. All of our listeners, all the veterans that are buying cars now, I want y'all to talk with Troy before you buy a car.
Thank you.
Do that. Talk with Troy before you buy a car. And then we got to get it up so you can sell some cars to the cities and to the state too.
Exactly.
So we need to work on that, getting that certification done so we can challenge them. They put that in the law.
And I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use it. Well, if I could touch on one more thing before we go, I know we got a few seconds left, but please take advantage of the education benefit too.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of veterans right now, like truck driving is in demand. Go take advantage of that. Get your CDL and let that be life changing for you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Start your whole new life path. If you're homeless, you can get in a truck, live in a truck, get paid, work in the truck. Take advantage of all of that. It's out there. I know a few veterans. I've gone through that program myself back in '96. Mm-hmm. The VA paid for me to go to truck driving school, and that was my gateway into MARTA. So which I retired from. So everything, has its cost. Take advantage of everything you can.
Education.
Right.
See, them benefits, if you use that benefits package the way it's supposed to be, every veteran got their benefits that they earn and back to the community where they living at, it would change the economic landscape of the community.
Exactly.
It would remove some of that lack in our community. And the only way we're going to do away with crime is to do away with lack. As long as you got lack, you're going to have crime. I can't have my house on the hill and people down the street ain't got no house.
That's right.
And be safe. We have to know that. We are our brother's keepers.
Yeah.
We have to get that. and understand like the herd used to say, we are all for one and one for all. We're gonna have each other back because we're brothers forever. The best sorority in the country is U.S. veterans.
Right.
That's to me.
I agree.
You know, those are some of the most loyal people that you're gonna ever meet.
Right.
You know, they got a history of doing it. You know, all you gotta do is look at the military record. They got a history of being loyal. They got a history of keeping an oath. You know, keeping the word. Your word is everything. If you ain't got no word, then you know you ain't got nothing.
Word is bond.
And what we got people still talking out of both sides of their mouth that we gonna elect to politics. We don't need them folks in our politics, man. If think about it, if you had them folks in the army, what the army would look like, in the military, what it would look like. It would be pathetic. It would be almost like that army that Putin he had a pathetic army, man. He done jumped on the little boy and getting beat.
Right.
You know, that's
how embarrassing is that one, right?
You know, you can see it's always bad when you got a bully and get beat. You know, and really, you know, he getting beat. He depending on Iran and all them folks. And so as Israel get in there and show them that air defense system that they got over there, it's gonna be worse than it was.
Yeah.
Russia is being beat down and being exposed as being a
weak
big bear with no heart.
Yeah, weak.
And that's why they terrorizing and killing civilians.
Yeah.
And then we got people in this country talking about they take away resources to help them people fight on. Veterans Talk, y'all. Next week we'll be back doing the same thing we be doing every Saturday afternoon. It's not laid back time, it is think back time. Think back to when we were in a country where communities were segregated by law. The country was not growing. Right now, we are growing to the point that people think that they can predict what's going to happen. They can't predict what's going to happen next. The only predictor of what's going to happen in the future is what you did in the past. If you got a record of being a fake in the past, then probably more than likely you're going to be a fake in the future. But if you got a reputation for being a person that would keep their word, their oath, you're dealing with people that can change the landscape. That's what I'm calling on veterans to do. Let's change the landscape. Because we know what it's supposed to look like. You know, we saw it in the military. We saw all of us working together.
That's right.
You know, without all that noise and hate that we see people talking now. So let's do that. Next week, we'll be back here again. Thank you, Troy, again.
Thank you for having me.
We're proud of you, man. Like we're going to push your business, too. Because we're going to make sure that our listeners, when they need a car, and everybody need a car, especially in Atlanta, Georgia, man. So next week, we'll see you.